All right, for number 1, this is the final exam review, Unit 5 only. So Unit 5 was linear systems, where I gave you guys 2 equations, and you had to solve it by graphing, substitution, or elimination method. And I taught you all 3 over like a month period of time. So the first one, it says, find the solution to the linear system. Now, there's 2 ways to go about this. One, looking at this, I would use elimination method, just because I've got a 1 and a negative 1, and that cancels to make 0. So I'm going to quickly show you that method really quick. So this is method 1. Okay. So what I would do is I would eliminate these 2 right here. Okay, and then I would add straight down. So 6 plus 1x is 7x, and 9 plus 5 is 14. Okay, then to solve for x, I would divide by 7. X is 2. So I know it's going to be C or D. Okay, then step 2 was take this and plug it into x in one of these equations. And we went with like less numbers or more positive signs. So really in this case, I'm going to go with the second one, just because it does have less numbers. So if I take this equation and I plug the x in for like that 2, I would subtract 2 from both sides, get negative y equals 5 minus 2 is 3. That's like a negative 1, and I would divide, and y is negative 3. So I'm looking for 2 comma negative 3 because I'm looking for xy. So that would be C. If you have forgotten this method, you're having a hard time with it, you're struggling, whatever. The other method, which is a longer method, but it will work, is that you could plug in the points into the problem. Okay, so like for example, if x was 4 and y is 0, and I plugged it in up here to 6 times 4, and then plus y was 0, does this side of the equation equal 2? No, it does not, right? So it couldn't be A. So then I would plug in B, and I know it's not going to work because obviously we already figured out the answer was C. So if I try C, and I plug in 2 for x, and then negative 3 for y, does this side equal 9? 12 minus 3 equals 9. True. But you have to make sure that this works in the second equation as well. So if I plug in 2 for x, it has a minus sign right here, and then negative 3. Does this side equal 5? Yes, because a double negative makes positive. 2 plus 3 is 5. Okay, so there's 2 different ways. You can do elimination method, cross it out, combine, get x and y, or a plug and chug method. Plug in x and y into each equation and see which point works in both equations. Okay, it has to work in both equations. All right, moving on to number 2. In number 2, what is the solution to the graph here? So this is a 1 solution, okay? I want to know what is that 1 solution right there. So that would be over 2, down 2. So I'm looking for 2, negative 2 here, which is C. Okay. Number 3. All right, so here you are taught substitution method. We also could plug and chug like method 2 at the very top. Either way. I am going to refresh your memory with substitution method. Okay, so substitution method. So step 1 said which equation here has x or y by itself? And that would be the second equation. Okay, step 2. What equation did you not use? And that would be the first equation. Then we take the expression from step 1, this expression equals y. So I'm going to plug it in for y. So here's this x, and here's this 7. The y becomes 5x minus 5. Now, if I look at this, these two right here are like terms. So 1x plus 5x is 6x. Now I have a two-step equation, so I add 5. Six x equals 12, and if I divide by 6, x is 2. Okay, well, there's only one choice here, A. Okay, but step 3 says you go back to step 1. You plug x in right here. So 5 times 2 minus 5. So 10 minus 5 is 5. Oh, nope, I'm sorry, we have another 2 right here. So y is 5. So it looks like we got C again. So 2, 5. But again, if this is not working for you, if you don't remember these steps, you can just take each point, x and y, and plug it into the problem to see which one works. Okay? Number 4. For this one, I think if you are able to print, it would help you with this one. But I'm looking for x and y axis because it's going to help me define like where my eye needs to look at. So the y-axis is right here. I know that because it does say y right here, and it has arrows at the end of this. So this is my y. And then right here, I have my x. Okay, now, for the problem, it says, which of the following systems of inequalities represents the graph below? Well, graph right here. So I can see that I have different components. I have less thans, greater thans, my slope, and my y-intercepts. So first and foremost, let's review this here. All right, so if you have a less than or greater than, these are dashed. If they have a line like an equal to, they're solid. So I'm going to start with this solid line right here. So my solid line lands on the y-axis. If this is 0, where they cross, 0, 1, 2, 3, it lands at positive 3. I know it's solid, and according to this, solid has to have this line here, right? So it's going to have a line. I can see that the shading is below this line. If it's below, it's less. Okay? So the shading is below the line, that's less. Now, for my slope, I see I have another point right here. So my slope would be up 1 over 2. Okay, so I can see that this matches 1/2 x plus 3. It has the same symbol. This matches this right here. The slope matches, but that doesn't match, that doesn't match. Okay, so, I mean, right now we know the answer is A, but we also need to make sure you know how to find the other solution. So let's do that quickly. So again, my line, my dashed line crosses right down here. So that would be 0, -1, -2. Okay, I know that I have this point right up here. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over 2. Okay, we know that that's really 3x. 6 divided by 2 is 3x. Okay, now, if it's dashed, then it has to be one of these. No line. And this time the shading is above. So up, which is greater. So it has to be A. Okay, I would say the big thing here is if you can find that y-axis, find the numbers of the y-intercepts. Where does the lines cross the y? So I knew that was 3, and that was negative 2. So I have 4 as A. Okay, now we only have 3 more questions for Unit 5. So number 5, just ask which graph represents one solution, no solution, and many solutions. So one solution is when they cross and meet at one point. So that would be here. One solution. No solution means that they're parallel lines. They're never going to touch. Okay, they would have no point in common. And many solutions is actually 2 lines on top of each other. So really this is like sharing every point. They share everything together. So A is many. Number 6, we have to figure out which graph matches this. So my suggestion is if you are able to print a graph off, I would print it off and I would graph it and then I would compare to this. Okay, so I would do that first if I have that option. I will show you the second option. So the first option, I've got to go to positive 2. My slope is negative 1. Remember, that's like negative 1 over 1. So I'm going to go down 1, but the positive 1 means go right 1. So down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. We do that several times. I'm also going to go up 1, left 1. Okay, then the second line, oh, I do need to draw my line. Okay, my second option, or my second line, starting at negative 3, says your slope is negative 6 over 1, but I can't go down. So that means I'm going to have to go up 6 and left 1. Right there. So now I need to look at this graph. I need to compare it to these graphs. Does it match any of these graphs? Yep. I can see that I've got a negative 1, 3. Negative 1, 3. I can see that my line is down there at negative 3. My other line is at 2. It meets the same point. So A is a match. But if I did not have a graph to print, my other solution to this would be to look at the first line and the graphs given, see which of these graphs start at a positive 2. So this one does not, so that can't be it. This one does not. All right, so then since I know B and C are eliminated, either has to be A or D, none of these. So I would continue on and go, okay, well, if I went down 1, right 1, do I land on the line? I do. Great. Start with the other line. So negative 3. Okay. Got to go up 6. Right 1. Bam. I'm right there on the line. Okay. So if you don't have that graph option, use what you have to your advantage. All right, last but not least, number 7. This one is really easy. We know that a point is xy. So if you were to plug these numbers into x and y, you would get negative 3, 5. This is your solution. Okay, so over here it's C. But visually, how does that look? Well, x at negative 3 is a line that goes up and down. And y at positive 5 would go vertical, goes opposite of your axis. So what they're asking is if I graph these 2 lines, where do they meet at? Okay, well they would meet at negative 3, positive 5, which is what you have right here. Okay, I hope that was a quick review of the portion of the final over Unit 5 only.